The Democratic Party is divided. Which shade of blue are you?
The best presidents in my lifetime.
Joe Biden was the best president in your lifetime.
The Democratic Party should move further left to energize young voters. Can the agreeer step forward?
Oh, yeah.
The Democratic Party is a shill, and they don't stand for reparations. I don't see how they can be a leftist party. They're not truly liberal, or progressive, I should say. They're, of course, liberal in a lot of detrimental ways. But anyway, go ahead. Let's see.
Agree with that. I look at the New York mayoral election as an example. I think Mondani is a great candidate, and the establishment Democratic Party runs people like Cuomo, who has sexual harassment allegations, and it's a moderate. And the fact
Allegations. Anybody can allege anything about anything.
that he won pretty well is a sign that the Democratic Party should move towards the left.
So if Mom Don
No, because that's New York. No. Dude, New York is extremely liberal. Of course, the hyper-liberal candidate won in New York. That doesn't really prove anything. Like, the way Democrats talk... Okay, so let's go to, like, Indiana. Who wins Indiana? Oh, was the right? Oh, so we should move further right. What kind of logic is that?
Donnie, for instance, say he was a citizen and he was running for president of the United States, would you guys vote for him?
If he was the nominee, I would vote for him. I'm not sure I would vote for him in the primary.
Why?
Because I looked at, this is probably where we disagree, because I looked for electability.
I would absolutely vote for him. I would vote for him because he's a star. But I think what we need in our Democratic Party is a star. And I think that
Mamdani's fake smile and his stupid policy ideas are going to get us screwed. I'm telling you. Bro, like, yes, that sounds great idealistically, but you can't afford to do what he's asking to do. And the thing is, a lot of people don't deserve that. And not only, it doesn't help us. It just allows for more laziness, a lot of this stuff.
he's galvanizing a lot of young voters. And I think that for us as older people, it can be a little challenging, but we need to be challenged.
It's your generation that got him elected. It was definitely young people who were not used to voting who wanted him in, and that's what got him elected. And I think for anyone who...
Again, in New York, bro. You guys know a lot about the New York school system? They have Biggie posters on the walls. I'm not even kidding, bro. I coach basketball, and I've coached in New York. They literally have posters of Biggie in like the elementary and high schools over there. There's not that much money. Like, these people are... You know what I'm saying? The best schools there are like private schools, if anything. And like, dog, it doesn't, no, trust me. Like, these people don't know what they're voting for. They're just voting for the guy who they think is going to help them the most. And they have a flawed idea. They're not very educated, okay?
has a problem with his lack of experience.
This is New York City we're talking about. I mean...
He's hiring people that have a lot of experience, and I think that's in his favor.
Yeah, I think Zoran is Obama-esque. He can, like you said, galvanize the younger generation, which is something we definitely need to work on.
My feeling is if moving further left means...
Notice how they're not talking about policy at all with Mamdani. They're talking strictly about his personality. Oh, he can galvanize people. He can do this. He can do that. It's a tough scene, man.
Health care for people, fixing the immigration problem instead of locking people up, and affordability and those types of things. If that is what moving further left means, I'm all for it.
I really do understand your point on electorability, but I feel like that doesn't necessarily work. I feel like a lot of times...
Electability.
When you think in a more moderate lens as to kind of like, quote unquote, steal voters, I think that can almost like bite you in the butt just a little bit, because you almost then ostracize like your main core people. And like we saw in New York, it was a lot of galvanization of like the younger people. And even then, he actually did very well with a lot of older generations in New York. So I feel like it's one of those points where you can't operate from a mentality of how can we best play defense, but just how can we best get our point across. And I feel like that is the direction we should be going in, personally.
Normally,
So now look, I like the point he makes. Yes, he's okay. I see what he's saying, but and I'm not gonna. Here's the thing about the leftist ideology, right? If you believe that like everybody paying towards a shared pool that provides all basic needs for everybody is the way to go, I can respect that. I'm not gonna sit here and I disagree with you. I do. I used to agree with you, but now after I've seen more life. Some people are just unfixable, bro, and they're not gonna. Like some people just need to be in jail. We need to be harsh on criminals. Like there's certain shit that just needs to happen. And in reality, these idealistic, healthcare for everybody, I don't think it works personally, and that's why I will vote. I don't vote because I don't think the Republican Party, personally, I'm not ready for the Republican Party at this moment. I just don't think that it's like, I think it's not a true representation of the conservative ideology either. I think there are a lot of flaws with the Republican Party, as I think the Democratic Party doesn't really represent progressivism. So, but I think that ideology just works better on the right in terms of social and economic responsibility.
I don't try to be motivated by fear, and I'm willing to take risks. But because of MAGA and Trumpism, and the threat is the worst I've ever seen in my lifetime. It's really worse than anything I've experienced, that we have to be really careful, and this is not the time to take risks.
Okay, this is how I feel. Gavin Newsom is ready to fight. And I want to get behind somebody who's ready to fight. And that's who I want to get behind.
To tie in all of these points.
What do you mean he's ready to fight? You see how they just say vague bullshit because they don't know anything actually substantive? Like, he's ready to fight. No, he's not. He's a fucking fake smile, bitch-ass politician, dog. Come on, bro. Gavin Newsom? Really? Look at him. Like, he's one of these guys. He's like, he is that fucking, I call it the crimson chin, bro. Like, when you're just like, you smile and it like twinkles on your teeth a little bit. And he just says what he needs to say to get all the votes. And then he goes back and he's like, goes to the back and where the cameras are off, he's like, fuck these poor people. You know what I'm saying? Literally.
Need somebody who can communicate.
Yeah.
That has been the problem. That you will have issues that people are talking about and you don't have candidates or people in power who are actually able to communicate that to everyone. Right. So if that means going further left to make that happen or staying centrist to make that happen, it doesn't matter as long as somebody can communicate. Gavin Newsom is a good communicator.
Check.
Mamdani is a great communicator.
Check. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we need people like that because the old guard has not been communicating well.
Like Schumer.
They just have
Schumer's
not.
been terrible.
Been terrible.
Can I ask one question real quick? And I'm sorry for talking a lot. But I guess for me, it's kind of a conversation between communication and conviction. Mm-hmm. Just which one do you guys feel like is more important? Like, this is a question I genuinely have. Because I feel like while the optics and the marketing around politics is more important than it's ever been, at the same time, I also want to make sure we don't go for figureheads and kind of just talking heads, Making sure we have someone who actually has the conviction to actually make those ideals happen, if you guys want to speak on that.
Yeah, I think conviction is probably the biggest for me. I would argue, and I think a lot of people, I actually work in politics, I work for a Republican, not my views, but obviously. But I think they would argue that...
You see how politics work, though? You're literally working your way up. Like, it's like a career, bro. These people... You think this guy in 20 years, after he's, done all the cocksucking and ass-kissing and gotten to that point, is going to be like, I have my own idea. Fuck you, Democrat Party. I'm saying this. No! Because then they're going to yank, throw him away, and get the next guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, this guy, these people are not, they're politicians, bro. The conviction might be there, but it's just not going to happen. Anyway, I'm going to move forward.
Millennia. Like, we need to be going back to really analyze the things that our ancestors or the ways that our ancestors have lived. Like, it's so valuable.
The creation of the United States is new. It's very, very
Incredibly
new.
Yeah.
And so I think that what the United States has done, and specifically the West, what the West has done is try to instill in us this idea of this is the only way of living. This is how we have lived for so long. When in reality, that is not the case. Nation states are new. The United States of America is new. And by recognizing all of that is how we can truly move forward.
No, but you're okay. Nation states. Look, I just skipped to this point, right? But when you say nation states are new, what are you suggesting? That we return to tribalism, living in communes? We can't live in that framework. We have 330 something million people. Million. We don't have 20 guys in a hut and a few chicks, and you know what I mean. You got to share. That's not what's going on, bro. We have 330 million people. It's got to be structured, and you can't feed everybody. You can't. I mean, you could, right? You could theoretically do it. You could feed everybody, but how long is that going to last? And people are just going to sit on their ass. Bro, if I wasn't such a loser in life, I wouldn't be sitting here in front of you making content right now. Bro, if I didn't get no money, if I wasn't a complete bitch, I wouldn't have bossed up. I wouldn't lift weights. I wouldn't do shit to make myself something. You see what I'm saying? But because I was a fucking, in college, I was a drugged out, fucking embarrassing loser that would just make a fool of myself all the time, being drunk. And then after that, I was still doing that, thinking that's like that was the way, you know what I mean? Frat boy shit, you know what I'm saying? Then I grew up. So I would have, if the government was feeding me, clothing me, giving me health care, wiping my ass for me, you know what I mean? Giving me a little rub and tug every now and then, dog, I would still be doing what I was doing then. Bro, you can't just give people shit, bro. It doesn't work like that.
And it starts.
Back then, you know what would happen? You want to talk about communalism and all this shit, and I guess that's what, like, living in a commune, living in like a tribe. If one of these dudes didn't want to hunt, you know what they would do to him? Bye, bro. There's the fucking straw fence over there. Like, go behind it, go over there, get eaten by a jaguar. You know, is that what you want? That's how communism works a lot of the time. In practice, there's a dictatorship behind communism. It's tyrannical. Because if you don't work, right, it's a work culture. Look at the Soviet Union. Look at how that was structured. If you don't work, you're like, this fucking loser. My son is a fucking loser. I can't do the Russian accent. That was bad. I got a Russian homie. He obviously has a Russian accent. He's not my man's anymore, but anyway, whatever.
With education.
I guess we're speaking on backgrounds. My people are Kenyan. Like, I'm a first generation American. And I feel like when I think about kind of the American mentality, it's a very individualized system.
Yes.
Whether we're thinking about capitalism in general, but specifically in the West. And even in the Democratic Party, it's very much, what can I do for you? What can you do for me? Like, it's very transactional in that sense. And I want to see more communal thought, you know? Understanding what can you do for your environment as a whole. Seeing that our community in and of itself is a living organism, and understanding how we can build and like bring that together. That's personally what I think.
To me, right now, the reason politics doesn't work for us as individuals has a whole lot to do with capitalism and the connection between political parties and corporations. And I'm just using simple man's logic because it's a lot. It's a lot to peel apart. But at the end of the day, a politician, to me, in my opinion, has to be a politician. And there's all this dealing that has to happen that ends up leaving those people down at the bottom to fend for themselves.
But I think specifically on that point of the Democratic Party and the direction it needs to go, I feel like the New York case is so particularly interesting because Mamdani didn't even receive many endorsements until it was very obvious that he would win.
Right.
And I feel like it's one of those things where, and I hate to bring up the idea of fear, and I'm not saying this is all what you guys have been communicating, maybe a little more you, but in general, speaking on that fear-mongering point, I think it's one of those things where the idea of the status quo has always been my biggest gripe with the Democratic Party.
Yes.
I think there's always a big push for respectability politics and understanding how...
I actually agree with him. This guy's smart. And that's part of the reason when look, here's the problem with Democrat ideology, okay? What he just said is a big part of it. The Democrats are not actually progressive. They want to front as progressives to capture the LGBTQ vote, the colored vote. They're frauds, is essentially what I'm saying, right? And, you know, a lot of them are frauds. A guy like Mamdani is not a fraud, but he's a lunatic. It's just not going to happen. Where's the discussion about reparations with your party? Look, reparations, right? I always talk about reparations. Here's the thing about reparations. You know how ESG, look, in ESG investing these days, there's a credit risk factor for ESG that impacts like the credit score and impacts the investing decisions that people make, because like that's mandated or it's subsidized if you have a portfolio with less ESG risk. And it's actually considered something because, if you're investing in a company that has ESG risks, there's a chance that blows up on them. They get fined, they lose money from that, and then you lose money as a shareholder, right? So that being factored into your credit analysis and your analysis of the investment as a whole is actually beneficial. There's a win for you as a profit-seeking investor there, right? Why can't we make something like that with reparations, with foreign direct investing in other countries, for profit for people? I feel like there are ways to do this. There are ways to do that. The Democratic Party does not speak about it. I think that just shows everything you need to know. There's so much more I could go into with this shit ass party about being progressive or not. And also, I don't think that you do that. I don't think economically they have the right idea. I think socially they do on a lot of instances. In a lot of instances, they have the right. I believe that everybody should have the right to do whatever they want. I'm not going to say that we should promote everything, but, I was pro-gay marriage, right? Like, these kinds of things are basic rights I feel everybody should have, and I feel like everybody should be on a level playing field in that regard. Financially, it's a different conversation. If we're talking about everybody, somebody being poor and being born poor and maybe not putting the work in school and stuff like that, and then, now they're on welfare, like, does that person really deserve that? You know what I mean? What if they're just like smoking weed in their free time and people are going to be like, oh, they're free to do that, we should have like welfare? I don't agree with that. That's the thing I don't like about the Democratic Party. And I don't agree with their issue with their criminality stuff. But what this guy's saying is he has good points.
Can we best slowly make things happen as to maintain a level of normalcy? And I feel like Mamdani, as an example, and just other people of that mindset and mentality might be in a more, I don't know.
Oh, also, and these people are way too soft. You talk about like cancel culture and shit like that, bro. Oh my God. Someone said a bad word. Oh my God. Dude, I've met people who literally think, right? They literally think this. I'm not kidding. I've literally met people who think that, like, because I've done this thought experiment, right? If someone were to stab you, would it be acceptable to call them a slur? And they say, I've met people that say no. No, it's not acceptable to call someone a slur when they stab you. And it's just like, bro, like, what are you thinking, bro? Do you really think that, it's a word? It's a word. He just stabbed me. Who cares what I say at that point? And the majority of people do say, yeah, obviously if you get stabbed, blah, 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 you can say whatever you want at that point. And it's not going to be like a big deal. We're not going to cancel you for that. But like the fact that even exists, bro, and they're not ridiculed for that, and I'm not going to promote ridicule. Anyway, whatever.
Inspired or passionate type of push, and I appreciate that. Personally, I was a Bernie guy in 2016. I mean, I was 12, but like,
I like Bernie too. I'm not gonna lie,
personally,
because if you're gonna, here's the thing, right? This is the way it is in sports. This is the way it is in life. If we're running a 2-3, I can't have half of my team running a 1-3-1 and half of my team running a 2-3. We gotta be running a motherfucking 2-3. You see what I'm saying? If we're going spread offense, tempo, we got to go spread offense and tempo. Get on the ball. You know what I'm saying? We got to snap that motherfucker quick every single time. We can't have, we can't be spread offense tempo sometimes, and sometimes, we just kind of like stroll up. And no. We got to be consistent, right? We got to go all in on a philosophy and buy in. And that's the thing that this guy is saying that I like. He's saying conviction. The stuff he's talking about is like, just go. If we're gonna talk about socialism and being inclusive across the board and financially supporting everybody and creating a large social pool of assets for the country to distribute evenly, and we're going to go all in on that, fine. Go all in. I respect that you have some sort of platform to stand on. Joe Biden didn't even have brain cells. Kamala Harris barely went to school.
I really appreciated like the level of passion he brought to politics, and I think
and Biden was obviously like a lifetime legend in politics. Like, let's be real, he was like a huge legend throughout his whole life in politics. But like by the time he was the candidate, man,
you look at the way like he was ignored or kind of brushed apart by the party. I think a push left would kind of create more of that environment, personally.
What this
Yeah, but then he's right. This guy is right in the sense that you would lose a lot of that middle-aged, middle America white population who is like, oh, I don't like racism, but Mom Donnie scares me. Boom, Trump voter. If you're talking about the Democratic Party from the interest of the Democratic Party, that's what you have, bro. You got to understand what you're dealing with here. You're dealing with a growing population of BIPOC people, I guess you could say, like they have some sort of immutable characteristic that does not meet the standard of the cis straight white male, right? You're having a growing population of that as a proportion of the American population as a whole, right? But you still have the majority who are traditional American families and have traditional values. And you also have immigrants who come in with traditional values, who want to see those traditional values be maintained because that's what they came here for. So, and that's a small percentage, don't get me wrong. I would consider my family to have been part of that percentage, but like you can't, bro. You can't, like, he's right in practicality. If you put Zoran up there, you'd probably get cooked like 60%, 30% electoral. Like, most states would go red because that guy is, bro, like, as I say, as a colorism, right? I call these colorisms when I do this. But if I'm talking to like colored people in our best interest, bro, these white motherfuckers are not voting for Mamdani like that, bro. Straight up, they're just not. They're not. And also, I'm not. Fuck, what are you talking about? I'm not voting for him, bro. Like, bro, like that's not the right idea. I don't think he has the right. That's not good for the country at large.
nation needs is like what happened in South Africa and Eastern Europe, where they had reconciliation hearings. That's what this nation needs to deal with our past history of slavery and colonialism. That would go a long way in educating people. But on the other point, I
agree. I think the education system needs to improve. You have no idea how many like sorority white chicks think that like white people just went everywhere and helped everybody and it was a big kumbaya and we were all living in huts and stuff like that before the British came and civilized us. There's so many of them that think that, right? And the problem is the education. The thing is, they're going to have self-inflicted issues because they're just that dumb that they think that. They have no historical awareness. They don't know how to read. They barely know how to read. They know how to read Twitter, right? They know how to read like Snapchat messages from Chad, but they don't know how to read books and like anything, right? They're struggling jobs, a lot of them. Not any specific archetype. I'm just saying these people that don't know how colonialism works, right? But you'd be surprised how many of those people are out there.
Are born into this country. There are already these institutions already in place that have been around for a very long time. And it's very hard to change those institutions. And when you talk revolution, that's most likely going to fail because the overwhelming majority of American people aren't going to get behind a revolution. So I'm much more for working within those institutions to nudge those institutions.
I have to agree with Pete here. I mean, I can't see, obviously half our nation are Republicans who voted for Trump. So is it going to be us versus them? I mean, it's already us versus them, but do we need to get are you, by revolution, are you meaning
class consciousness?
Okay, so you don't mean pick up arms.
Can I say that?
No, she doesn't mean pick up arms. She doesn't, obviously, we don't.
You see how similar these people are to the people on the right? How they actually share the same ideology. Fuck the government, fuck the establishment, we're gonna fucking shoot them. You guys are all brain dead, bro. It doesn't work like that. And you are lazy as fuck. And you are a drag to this machine that we call society. You're a drag, okay? And you want us to drag down even more. On the left, in the left's case, you want us to drag down even more to meet your standards. Oh, well, I should have food paid for. I should have health care. Bitch, fuck you. I have health care. I got it good, boy. And I fucking work for that shit. Fuck you talking about? Skedaddle, bro. Go fucking find healthcare in a different country. Go to Europe, bro. Go to Europe. Get the fuck out of here, you fucking pussy. You're not doing anything for us. And then you got people on the right who are like, I'm white. I should have it easy, right? I mean, look, this is a problem, right? This is where we're at. It's just entitlement on both sides. But the left has it way worse. The left has it way, way worse.
pick up
Right.
arms. So we're talking about.
It's the ancestors' fault. Our ancestors were enslaved. Pity me, pity me. Shut up. Shut the fuck up.
About
Do something, you fucking puss.
is just restructuring things
Make a life for yourself.
from the top down
Yeah.
and the bottom up, and it's almost
What's
as
that?
if people already see it.
So specifically what I'm saying is once we do develop a class consciousness, there will become resistance from the elites, right? The elites don't want the structure that oppresses many people to go away.
That's true.
And that may
But they also control what you think. Like, you think that because you have this slightly melanated skin tone, you have to vote Democrat. So the elites, honey, fucking got a chokehold on your ass. Okay? Try to think for yourself.
result with violent revolution.
Wokeness has gone
Violent revolution? How do you think you would fare in a violent revolution? Yo, motherfuckers be half titty meat, bro. Talking about violence. Like, oh my god, dog. Yo, what the fuck?
too far and alienates moderate voters.
I'll support.
You want to scoop the guy?
I think we. Oh. You can stay here. I think we don't need moderate voters if we can galvanize the youth or our liberal voters. So Pete, I'm gonna ask you what the opinion is.
Bro, do you think, do these people think all young people are liberal as fuck and crybaby bitches? Is that what they think? Where does that come from?
For you, being older, when you see things like, what was it? The Trump ad that was like, Kamala Harris is for they, them, I'm for you. I think that really resonated with a lot of moderate voters and a lot of people, even though that's not...
That resonated with young kids, bro. Whether you like it or not, there are kids, bro, who are Republican. You think that there's not? Though, bro, they're out there, bro. And actually a lot of them are hella racist and Nick Fuentes supporters and shit like that. Which there's nothing wrong with. I'm not saying, look, racism we can maybe do without, but it's a little bit overblown. I do think that the outrage over racism is a little bit overblown. Anyway.
Necessarily true, but I don't remember in the Kamala's campaign.
I kind of like the idea of dealing with a racist motherfucker and putting them in their place, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Like, if I'm hooping or something and there's some like country ass white dude, which doesn't even exist anymore, they've been like phased out, which is actually sad if you think about it. And he's like dissing me, saying racist shit, and I'm saying it back. Like, that's kind of cool. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that was cool. When I was growing up, we had like that sort of shit going on, like a little bit. Like, it was like edgy. You know what I'm saying? But now it's like, he said a bad word on the basketball court. Triple technical, end his career. I said the F word, guys. Fine him $6 million immediately.
Hitting back from that, they kind of just took that. And it really...
I think, because here's the thing. I think true progressiveness is embracing our differences. I come from a certain culture. I come from a certain background. I've been raised a certain way. And it mixed with American culture a little bit because of my peers and everything. And I was, now I have this person that is me. And this was created by a specific set of circumstances. And me, I'm going to be different than the next guy. And we might not get along. And that's cool. Guys, that's fine. That's totally cool. I might think somebody's a pussy and they might think I'm a dick. I might think somebody's a bitch and they might think I'm an asshole. That happens. You're not going to take that away. I might think that my ideology and my culture is better than somebody's, and they might think theirs is better than mine. And that's fine. That's actually part of us being able to coexist, is the fact that we have to be willing to dislike each other a little bit. You ever met two people that spent all their time together and didn't end up disliking each other a little? Or like had arguments, I should say? Or you ever met like 100 people who none of them disliked each other? All 100 like loved each other. Really?
resonated with.
So you trying to like Just strip the free speech and just squeeze the juice out of the culture. Here's a dry sponge, right? Here's a dry sponge. Enjoy that, bitch. Like, nah. I'm trying to see titties at the car wash. You know what I'm saying? I want them sponges to be wet as fuck, boy. You know what I'm saying? Anyway.
Moderate voters and really galvanize Trump supporters to come out.
Well, if wokeness is marginalized people no longer putting up with racial epithets or discrimination, I'm all for that. But wokeness has been weaponized. Like, I saw a video of a white guy wearing dreadlocks getting harassed. And things like that really can be used by people on the right to demonize the left as a cudgel against them. So I'm not sure what the solution is, but it definitely has been weaponized and been used against Democrats and the left.
That is the left in a nutshell, though. It's like, you can't offend me, but, you know, if you do something I don't like, then you're offending me and I get to offend you. Dude, the left is fucking bullshit. All these people on the left are idiot, uneducated fucks who just think they deserve money to fall out of the sky into their lap because they're broke as fuck.
Like, it's gotten to a point today, and not on the wokeness topic, but
It's time.
To send back to the homeland at the expense of the indigenous people.
This I agree with, okay? Supporting Israel is incompatible with progressive values. For that reason, we're actually just going to skip past this because I actually disagree with it. There's not going to be any dissent. And I don't think supporting Israel personally makes sense in any way because their actions right now are just purely a colonial effort.
Politics divides the Democratic Party
In my opinion.
more than it unites it.
I would say identity politics plays a huge role when we talk about DEI, right? For example, let's talk about Obama. He became president, and then I'd have conversations with Democrats about their racism, frankly. And I would hear, well, we can't be racist. We voted for Obama as president. And that to me is a problem. Just because, you know, you have someone of that identity representing a certain cause does not mean that they don't have racist undertones and that the entire party was kind of built on racism.
Yeah, who was the senator? Robert Byrd, right? Senator Byrd was apparently Joe Biden's mentor. And he was one of the most racist members. I think he was a KKK member. And then he voted for Obama. That doesn't make him any less racist because he voted for Obama.
so would you guys say you're pro or against identity politics? And then I'll kind of get my spiel.
Yeah, I think it can be used to a benefit for certain people, but it shouldn't be your whole campaign. Like, I think Hillary Clinton's a good example of that, is how she ran on that she was a woman, and that I will say she was way more experienced than Donald Trump, but a lot of her campaign that year was breaking that highest class ceiling, right? So that shouldn't be your whole focus on your campaign, your identity, but I think in certain aspects, like I think Kamala Harris did a good job of that.
I feel like for me, what I feel like is more divisive than it is unifying is simply for the fact in which I think oftentimes it's very inauthentic in the fact that people will often ignore very valid critiques that someone might have.
I'm not saying that they don't deserve it, but I'm just saying that I don't think there's ever going to be a time where a woman wins the election to be the president of the United States of America. I just don't think that this country has the palate for that right now. I'm making that's a stance that I'm making, not because I think that should be the case, or it's, you know, that a female president would be bad for the country. It's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is that this country would not vote for that. It's my opinion that they would not vote for that. That's what I'm saying. Okay? I'm not. Don't make that about me.
On the party because of, again, their background, kind of like what you were saying about we're not racist because we have a black president.
Yeah.
I would just say that identity politics is not something owned by the Democrats or the Republicans. Identity politics is everywhere.
Right.
And again, people have prejudices, and they
Identity politics are very harmful. Yeah.
hear a certain word, and like you said, they might say no. Oh no, I'm fine because look, I voted for a black man, but they might still have that prejudice.
Yeah.
And just to tell you, I'm someone who. I have a family. I'm proud to say I have 2 kids who are married, 2 Jewish kids who are married to Muslims. And one of the things that we've learned is the things that we share. And we try and, we're very proud of that. And they've raised wonderful families. And that's out there. You just have to choose it.
And I'm curious, how do you feel like that's kind of shaped your lens on this topic in particular, whether it's identity politics, but also just politics in general? Do you feel like having a blended family made you more progressive, or were you already progressive and
No, I was already there because I basically said to my kids, you can be whatever you want to be. I don't care if you're a bricklayer or a president or a candy vendor, whatever makes you happy.
So I just want to say one thing. Malcolm X said the Democrats and Republicans are like wolves versus the foxes, okay? So when you're talking to a Republican, they will openly be like, sometimes they'll be like, yeah, I'm racist. Sometimes they will openly say that, right? But I think the problem here that I have is sometimes with Democrats, they want to use identity politics. They want to use DEI to be like, okay, well, we can't be racist. We want to be the good guys, the foxes, but sneakily
Facts.
in there, they are still supporting the economics, certain police brutality, stuff like that, that keeps this racist hierarchy of white supremacy in place. And so that is why I said that on the point of the Democrats instead of addressing the Republicans. They accept it.
To be fair, their Republican Party in Congress is mostly white men.
White men,
So,
older white men.
older white men. So they don't really have a problem with identity politics because they're one race.
Right, it's not an issue for them.
Can the disagreeer step forward?
I think the whole concept of identity politics is bullshit. It's the same thing as using woke as some kind of cudgel to make you feel funny because you have an affiliation by race, by gender, by what's the other stuff we got, y'all? Religion. It's all bullshit. The Republican Party has built this MAGA base on identity, on white male fraught identity. Everything's wrong for white males. And so my thing is Democrats need
That's fair. The Republican Party does have a lot of that these days.
to
A lot of like the woe is me. I'm not like able to just call black people the N-word in public anymore and get away with it. Oh no. They do have a lot of that.
add
But I still agree with the ideology on that side more. I don't vote. Like I said, I don't vote for either party.
here to the identity that we know them to be for in this current iteration. The identity of helping the middle class to get back to be a middle class, helping to have a safety net for the downtrodden.
I think what's happening is, it's
There shouldn't be a safety net.
not that
There shouldn't be that much of a safety net. Like a little unemployment, okay. Like, bro, like at the end of the day, bro, work, bro. Work. Look, I've been unemployed. I've been poor. I've been functionally unemployed. I've been all of that stuff. Now, granted, I grew up with a nice family who got me as far as to get a degree, and I'm going to give my family credit for that. But they did that, and they were born in Indian slums. So how can you be born in the United States of America and cry like a fucking bitch all the time?
problem is that we have these different identities and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. It's that I can't get anything done if you believe something and I don't believe in that. So I don't want to support you as a politician or as in the Democratic Party. So it is absolutely.
They weren't slums, right? But they were like villages. They weren't doing well, bro. They had just been colonized and all the gold, everything had been taken. Britain civilized us, apparently. We had 26% of the world's GDP before England. We had like two or three of the largest booming industries, silk being one of them, in the entire world. We had some of the greatest trade routes. We were the most developed, one of the most advanced civilizations relative to the era of all time. And the British civilized us, guys. But no, okay, I digress. The point is, obviously, the British ripped us apart, took everything, stole everything, killed a bunch of people, 160 million excess deaths, so on and so forth. And after that, my people are doing great. We have a ton of CEOs. And again, I don't want to make this a thing about identity and racial identity and race and all that stuff, but Indians are doing great. So what's up with that? What's up with that, for real? Like, what's up with that? We should be the ones that are struggling the most. Straight up, you know what I'm saying? Like, straight up, bro. We should be struggling the most. And they're still over there struggling. One-armed beggars. I'm talking about blind beggars. They're poking their eyes out so they can get more change because people will feel bad for them. That's how bad they're struggling. But yet some of us are over here We got a high number of CEOs. I think the largest amount of income in a year. What's up with that? If welfare was helpful, then what's up with that?
Absolutely dividing us.
Can I ask you a question? I feel like, because I believe it was you who said it, when you're like, MAGA, you think of the right, like their identity is very much like this white
They're
male
playing it like
centric,
a
right?
fiddle.
Exactly. But I think because they have this very
It's not just
solid
white though, and
identity.
I hate to interrupt you. Even though it is all white for the most part, no matter what it is, they stay together.
Right. That's what I was gonna ask you. Do you
They
almost feel like
move
there's
together.
too many
So we
identities?
are divided. We're like, yeah, I don't believe in this, so I can't support you. And it's like, wait a minute, we're not going to take power back if we don't say, okay, I don't believe in that, but I've got to support you.
Right.
I've got to support you, or it's going to be them.
He's right. He's right, because identity politics has been.
Yeah, but what has the Democratic Party ever done for you, bro? As a person of color, as a black man, right? And me being this shade of brown, right? What have these people ever done for you? And by the way, the similarities go way further than just the skin tone and the melanin content, right? Look at the history of India, look at the history of Africa. Look at who colonized each of those places. Look at how black people in America were treated. There's a lot that's in common here. But what have the Democrats ever done for you, Mr. Colored Man? What have the Democrats ever done for you? I had to look myself in the mirror, look at myself, bro, in the mirror, and ask myself that question. I had to sit there and ask Ravi Muley, hey Ravi, you always, you think the Democrats are so great. You think that, they had a black president, da-da-da. What have they actually ever done for you? Have they ever talked about reparations? What have they done for you as a colored person? All the social disadvantages you face, have they addressed that even once? And the answer was a cold, hard no. No. Nobody's coming to save you, bro. Look me in the mirror and tell myself that. Nobody's coming to save you, bro. Pick yourself up. Ball out. Fuck everybody. Regardless of race, fuck them. Shit on them. It doesn't matter what race they are. They could be white, black, Asian, Hispanic, gay, straight, motherfucking purple. I'm shitting on them. Straight up, bro. I work harder. I ball harder. I'm a harder worker. I'm fucking more intelligent. I just said hard work like 6 times. But dead ass, bro. I'm going to outwork every motherfucker in the planet. In the goddamn country. In the desham, you heard? I'm not, bro, like, no fucking way, bro. There's no way. Like, I'm a killer, dog. I'm MJ, not Braun. And I think Braun's, like, I'm just saying, I'm fucking Kobe.
Used to do what? A purity test.
Yes.
Someone may agree with the candidate like 90% of the issues.
I don't believe in welfare. I'm gonna get it out the mud, my damn self. Like, no, bro. No. Fuck is you talking about? No.
Because of this 10%, that's really important to me. I'm just gonna throw out.
And the Republicans, let me tell you one thing about the Republicans. Like, these racist white motherfuckers, everybody thinks these people are racist, and sure, some of them are, right? And look, hey, who cares at the end of the day? I'm sure some of them are, right? But these people who we as colored people who lean Democrat and fall into that trap will tend to just be like, that's the racist white oppressor, right? These racist white people, they don't want nothing, bro. I'm telling you, they're not asking for no handouts or anything. They will sit there, go to college, take that white collar job, go to that job every single day, day in, day out, and do their thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's so hard about that? Like, if you look at the socioeconomically underprivileged, they're not doing that. They're not doing that. These kids don't go to school, right? Like, people are making fatal errors and expecting the rest of us to take out. No. Yo, I turned my shit around. I'm not trying to help nobody, bro. I got my own bag by my own damn self. Fuck you. If you're struggling, let me tell you something. Fuck you. I ain't got no motivation for you. Fuck you. You suck. Stay down there, bitch. I got up. What the fuck is wrong with you? You got hands and legs, don't you? You're able-bodied. Get up.
out the other 90%, and that's dividing the Democratic Party.
So then how do you think we can kind of fix that division? Do you think there's going to be like a unicorn candidate who will come out and appeal to everyone, or
No.
what does that look like?
I think that's the thing that will. I mean, look at Obama. I would argue that Democrats were most united under Obama in Congress. We need a candidate that can unite the Democratic Party. We are so divided now, and especially, let's take the government shutdown for example. 8 senators bent their knee to Donald Trump, right, over the weekend.
But it was
that
only
just
8.
shows us.
It was only 8.
And those
so
8
we
need to
have
be primaried.
They do. I agree with you.
Right.
But we need to
So-
look at the fact that
But
the
those
rest, was it
8
24 or 32, were united.
Right.
Sure, but that's still 8 Democrats that weren't. That could be 8, and 8 is a large number when you have a minority.
I do think that a lot of Democrats do weaponize identity politics, but it is not my personal belief that identity politics are necessarily bad.
Right, and that's why that wasn't the prompt. That
It simplifies things, right? At the end of the day, if an uneducated colored person or whatever, an uneducated white person can go and just pick the party that like aligns most with what they look like, and like, you know what I mean, it does kind of, because chances are they fall into that demographic that is supported by that party, right? So it kind of does simplify things in a way. At the same time, if you are voting based on identity politics, you shouldn't be allowed to vote. This is what I'm saying about like our system. Like, people shouldn't just be entitled to vote just because they live here. I don't think they should be. I don't think you deserve rights just for like being here. Certain things, yes. Certain things you should be able to like do, like basically the like freedom of speech and shit like that. But like, you shouldn't just get to like own property or I mean, you know what I mean. You should. I don't know how to phrase what I think. I have an idea, but you should not just be a citizen, a first-rate citizen, just because. You should be able to earn extra stuff from, like, you should have to prove yourself a little bit, bro. Just to even have basic rights. I do believe in that. I don't think you should, because at the end of the day, when you just give people anything, a lot of people will just sit there and rely on that. And just not try to work any harder, not try to make anything of themselves. And before people say, oh, why should we have to work? Why couldn't we just like eat and just floast and make art? Like, dude, go do that before civilization existed. Before you could depend on me, motherfucker, and me paying taxes so you could fucking make art. Go do that in your commune that you were talking about and see what happens. See what happens when you don't hunt. Or when you're a woman and you're not doing what you're supposed to do in the tribe or whatever the fuck they used to do. You know what I mean? Maybe the women were hunting. Let's be progressive about it, right? Come on.
bad.
Yeah, that's why it was hard.
Familiar with like W.B. Du Bois, like
Them boys would eat you, cuz. If you were this lazy in a goddamn like tribe. You know what I'm saying? In the powwow.
his theory of double consciousness. I feel like it all kind of ties into that idea, right? Basically, from that theory, he speaks on the idea of the existence of a black man in America, or just a black person in America, is to see yourself, A, as the Negro, but then B, to see yourself as an American, right? And I feel like specifically on this topic, it's very pointed because you almost have to sacrifice a level of identity within yourself for the game of the political benefit of the party to a certain extent. And that's why I feel like it's divisive in that sense, because if I vote on things purely from the perspective of how does this make me feel as a black man, how is this impacting my community, how do I see myself because of it, it will almost be against my own larger interest, even if it might be against some of my own personal or like racialized beliefs, which is a very interesting line to balance. Personally, I'm very for identity politics. I think, like you were saying, that level of acknowledgement is the most important thing we have. How can you feel represented if you are not seen as an individual? But I do then think from a party standpoint, when we purely think about the strategy or the game of politics, whether or not you want to say it's good or bad, the reason why the party isn't doing as well as it can is because we are having a lot of internal conflicts. I don't think anyone argues with a Democrat more than a Democrat, which is a good thing. I think fundamentally will be a very good thing for progress itself. But based on the prompt and based off the game of politics, I do think it's a bit counterintuitive. Exactly.
Freedom of speech should include uncomfortable.
And the reason you can't get anything done is because you're all pussies. You hear a bad word and you cry like a bitch, bro. Oh, I don't want to hear racial epithets. I'm a brown man, bro. You know how many times I've been called like XYZ? Man, move on, bro. Like, move on, dude. Like, do something, bro. Like, do something, man. Do get a job. I don't know, bro. Do something else besides cry. Guys, oh my God, I got called a slur. I got to tweet about it. Please retweet. I need empathy.
Or offensive opinions?
Absolutely.
Everybody's gonna agree with that one too.
I think, unfortunately, it is obviously protected by the First Amendment, but that doesn't mean that we should tolerate it. We should call.
She doesn't agree with this. She thinks you should get thrown in jail for saying the B word. Come on. Go back and stand where you were at. Stop being such an agreeable fucking liberal.
Allow offensive speech where it's at. So if someone is saying slurs, we shouldn't just let them say it because it's the First Amendment, right? We need to be able to hold those people accountable where they are, and I think it happens a lot when people are on, social media and they say something, then sometimes, I don't know, I've heard that there has been instances where they've been fired from their jobs, which is, in my opinion, okay. Yeah, if you're gonna come out and you're gonna say nasty things, it shouldn't be tolerated. There should be repercussions for that.
I definitely.
Really? Really? I think if you're great at laying bricks, you should just get paid to lay bricks. I think that's the way it works in a world built on merit. I don't think that what you say outside of the workplace or what you do outside of the workplace should matter to your job. Now, obviously, if people don't want to fuck with you, then okay, that's cool, but...
I think this is like a very nuanced prompt, but I'm kind of approaching it from the place that on college campus, when I would speak at Palestinian protests, there would be certain things that if you say them, you could be expelled from school or you could this. So I do think it's important that there is freedom of speech is allowed, because then you get the government trying to censor specific things you are saying. You might not be able to talk about something that the government is.
It's funny, if she didn't have that Palestinian shit going on, she would have been like, no, you should go to jail for saying a bad word.
Supporting, and that is very, very scary. I mean, I think even now, Trump is trying to control what certain students can say or not say about Palestine. And if you say something like he wants.
By the way, free Palestine all the way.
You to.
And yes, I'm censored for saying shit about. So if you think I'm a right winger, then listen to what I say about. I got banned from TikTok after 55,000 likes. I had 55K likes on one of my accounts. Okay. I had a screenshot with 49.5K, and people are like, that says 49.5. Yeah, that was like 6 months before I actually deleted the shit, or the shit got deleted, right? I actually had like 55K. Took me a long time to get to that. I had another account with 10K. Both got banned because I talked about Israel, because I was making my opinions clear.
Be reported for that. And it's very scary for a lot of students on campuses who are just trying to fight for human rights. You know what I mean?
It's unconscionable that on our college campuses where places like Berkeley folding to Trump, and obviously we understand that people get funding from the government, but there never should have been a situation where the government funds you and then tells you what you can say and what you can't say.
Well, what do you think politics is? What do you think these people... What do you think this is? That's the whole thing.
That's against the First Amendment. We're supposed to have freedom of speech.
It's kind of...
The thing is, it's like, it's not the government, it's the oligarchy paying. Maybe sometimes through the government, sometimes through like these political action committees.
The biggest, as if ever, that we're at this place right now. I mean, one-on-one, I'm not going to let you call me something to my face that is an absolute slur. I'm not. I'm probably going to react in a way that will make you consider that twice.
Which you have the First Amendment right to do.
Yes. But when we're talking
I respect that. I respect what you just said.
On these larger scales where people cannot come and talk, say what you think so I can tell you what I think. And
Right.
why what I think is superior to what...
That's why when Nick Fuentes says things like, like he basically says white people are better, but I have my own opinions, right? I'm not going to sit here and be like, Nick, you can't say that. I'm pissed off. I'm going to be like, oh, really? You think so? Why? Here's why I think X, Y, Z thing that I think, which I'm not going to enumerate here. This is just, you can guess, right? But we should all be able to say that. We should all be able to say what we think and talk about it and be like, okay, well, you think this, this, and this. Your people produce this, this, and this. I think my people produce this, this, and this. And I think that we, boom, it's kismet, right? We have a conversation. It's not, I don't like what he said. I'm going to go tell this person about it over here and get him in trouble. Fuck, man. Fuck.
Actually was, should we have the ability to have free speech regardless? And I absolutely think we should. Because there's always going to be somebody who's going to want to take it from you, And depending on...
And you're just hoping it's not the other side. You're not your enemy in power.
What that...
Because imagine if these people who are super, these guys all seem to agree with the prompt. But the people on the left who are like, oh, well, you shouldn't be able to say offensive things. You shouldn't be able to say certain things. What if, your government eventually, you put in laws where you weren't able to say certain things, and eventually the Republican Party took power, and now they're not letting you say the words Free Palestine. Then what? Then what are you going to do then? What if they take that rainbow flag away and say this is banned, this is contraband now, because it does X, Y, Z and promotes this and promotes that, and they have some rationale for it, and they're saying you can't do this now. Then what? Then your freedom of speech. No, we should be able to say what we want. So I'm just saying, you got to keep that in mind. If you really think, let these motherfuckers, bro, these Second Amendment motherfuckers, those motherfuckers, let them yap, bro. And then you say what you want to say. And if you're more reasonable, people are going to side with you.
The thing you're speaking about is someone can have their own agenda as to why they want to take it from you. I like what you say. And if I have the ability to make sure you can't say it.
And by the way, I believe in the Second Amendment. I actually think I should be able to have a strap because it's not safe out here.
Then the next thing is you could do it to me, and I could do it to you, and I could do it to you. And when we start doing that, we don't have free speech anymore. Now, there are consequences to your actions.
Absolutely.
I agree with what you guys are saying from a morality standpoint, thinking about the legality of morality versus free speech. You should be able to say something, but there should be those moral and or even social consequences.
Should be. Yes.
Should be. I think for me, the question lies in specifically the topic you brought up about you agreed that people should be able to lose their jobs if they were to say things.
Well, I didn't say that exactly.
Okay,
I said I've heard of instances.
Heard of it. So I guess for me, the question is, especially when you're thinking of consequences in a social capacity, how exactly do you feel like those should extend to a professional or kind of larger one? I'm not saying anyone should get arrested for what they're saying, but, let's say someone's talking extremely crazy online, saying slurs or things like that. Do you think they should be fired? And where does kind of that line get drawn between workplace actions, social actions?
If they're posting it and it's affecting the company's reputation, I can understand that. If they get caught slipping and say some shit, there's no way you should be fired for that, dog. I'm sorry. There's no way. Because you don't know the context. People are trying to blow people up.
And kind of the mix in between those things.
I think that's kind of where there's government regulation and there's kind of that social concept. And so I do think that's kind of where we get that overlap of cancel culture. Because nowadays we are seeing cancel culture where, okay, if someone says a slur or they say something, they get fired from their job, they get this and that. And I personally support that. I agree with that. I think if you are spewing white supremacist hate, then you should not have a job. That's as if someone's in the KKK.
Why? Why would you? Yeah, what if someone's in the KKK? Why would you not be able to have a job for that? What is that? What sense does that make? If they're going to the workplace, they're clocking in, they're doing their work, they're working with a team, with all these different people, going home, and then they're putting on their robe. Who cares? Go home and play your video games or do whatever you do. Go to work, get that money, and go do whatever you do. Stop worrying about what this dude's doing outside of work. You don't even need to be interacting with them. You're making all this shit. Bro, oh my God, please. You don't belong in the workplace because you can't fucking remain focused and work. You are the problem.
You know what I mean? They should not have a job.
My counter to
They should not have a job. And you don't have a fucking job, probably. You fucking unemployed liberal. God damn.
I'm not saying whether I disagree or agree, but could someone who's on the opposite end then make that same argument because they have a different belief?
So do you think that if you're a white supremacist, you should not be able to say anything in public?
I think, no, I don't think that.
Yeah,
so what I'm saying is I do believe that if you're going to go around and you're going to be spewing hate and white supremacy, there should come consequences.
Notice how they say white supremacy and hate. Look, I'm not for white supremacy. I just want to be very clear. But there are different forms of hate. We understand that. Like, there's a lot more hate than just people being like, white people are the best. If it ain't white, if it ain't right, or whatever the fuck they say, right? If it ain't white, it ain't right. There's more out there. There's misandry. There's women being mean to men. There's gay people being mean to straight people. There's black people being mean to white people. There's brown people being mean to black people. There's black people being mean to yellow people being mean to green people. All that shit exists. But you guys want to focus on this one, and I get it. There's a history there, but like, let me tell you something, bro. That's probably the one that happens the least because there's so much tension and scrutiny on it. In real life, that's probably the one that happens the least.
Consequences to that, and
But you do have the right to say it.
Sure, yeah.
Yes.
So if you want to say it, yes, there just will be consequences. So, for example, I think if I was going to work, I wouldn't want to work with someone who's a white supremacist.
So don't quit then, you fucking pussy. Quit. Go take your bitch ass, sensitive ass to McDonald's.
That would be compromising me as well.
No.
So I think that's where the problem.
No, when you can sit in the workplace and focus on the job and do the job and get the fuck out and stop crying like a little bitch.
But again, part of what happens then is you could leave the job. That happened to me once. I found
Facts.
myself in a situation where there were anti-Semitic comments, and I left.
Right.
Rather than, I couldn't get the company to change, but I left the company. In other words, we have that right to.
And look, but the thing is, if they were making anti-Semitic comments and interfering with your work in the workplace, if they were saying shit to you, then sis, they should got fired for that. But we're talking about, she wants to bring external shit to the workplace. No, keep that shit tight. Bro, you come in there, I'm the best dressed motherfucker in there. That's what I'm worried about. I'm not worried about a dude hating me because I'm brown. Shit, they probably do hate me anyway. They probably just hate me because I'm fly as fuck. Fuck them.
A situation where, let's say you're speaking on like something you believe, if you're speaking on universal health care or
Yes.
even let's say like Palestine and like that whole issue, right? If you're speaking on that at work, but your boss has some disagreement with it, I'm asking the question if what you're proposing in where a white supremacist says something, they lose their job.
Yeah.
Could then like not create a culture or a situation that would also give those same protections?
So
Bingo. This guy's a fucking genius. He gets it.
Like, how do you mitigate concept? How do you regulate that?
in the end, there have.
And also, I like the way he asks the questions. He keeps it very neutral, and a smart person can tell like he's making his point, and he's posing it as if he's exploring her position. Pause. I'm trying to be exploring some positions. Anyway, listen. But the way he's phrasing it, like he's a pro. Like he's very polite. He's like, this is what I think. I just want to see what you think about that. He's not like, you dumbass, you fuck you. That's kind of how I am, right? That's why people don't like me. But I don't give a fuck, right? But anyway.
Been a lot of opportunities I've had to forego because I do speak out on Palestine. Like that's something 100% I've had to deal with. And so I think if you are being a hateful person, that's completely different than being an advocate for human rights.
I agree.
Yeah, in your opinion, yes. But a lot of people would say, what if they say that about you and your free Palestine shit, and they're like, oh, she's anti-Semitic. She doesn't want Jewish people to have the Holy Land because she hates Jewish people. Bro, you can like literally like, bro. And at the end of the day, what if somebody's racist towards white people? Then what? Then what? Now you've enabled that person to go in and be hateful towards his white colleagues or her white colleagues. And then what? Then what happens? Nobody, you know what I mean? We're only concerned with this, though. We're like, oh, well, we got to make sure these white people aren't racist towards these brown people. I think it's a little bit more complex than that. Okay, guys, this is a good video. I'm not a Democrat, right? I don't even lean liberal anymore. My mindset has changed on that because I think liberal and conservative are ideologies, and I think Democrat and Republican are parties. And I've never been really aligned with parties. I used to probably say I was a Democrat because I'm brown, and I fell for that whole trap. But recently, I've obviously in the past past decade, really, I've forgotten that whole bullshit. Secondly, I went from liberal to more conservative in ideology because I started paying taxes and seeing how the world works and experienced lazy people and losers. So I stand in the center right myself personally, economically, socially, I'm more center, and I have some outcast opinions like Free Palestine and reparations that are just they don't fit into anything in the modern day, in any Overton window. I would say that they're actually very progressive. So for me, I'm strongly an independent. I stand firm on the fact that I can't align with either party. And I just want to make that clear to end this video. But yo, look, man, I love y'all. Okay, thank you for watching. If you watched this far, man, give me a hug, bro. Give me, for real. No, all right, okay. Like my shit, bro. Comment, subscribe. Let me know what I should talk about next. Okay. Love y'all. Peace.